Go back to your home country. No, that's not something I've heard personally, but you might hear that quite often in the Philippines if you travel there or if you're part of some of these expat groups on Facebook, especially. Today we'll talk about all that, but don't just listen to my opinions. We'll talk about it through a whole bunch of people's perspectives. Before we're doing that, take a quick second, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. We're almost at 80% of our goal to 1,000. Here is today's question. At the visa office a few years ago, an expat ahead of me was having a terrible time with the usual inefficiencies, and he unleashed a long diatribe about how backwards and incompetent everyone here is, and that in his home country these things would never be tolerated, and he was just sick of it, tired of it all. The lady behind the desk asked him, "Sir, why are you renewing your visa?" I didn't mention the home country because we all know how sensitive those Australians are, and I would hate to be offending them. First, I like the humor there by mentioning the country anyways, but the idea behind this topic is that a lot of times foreigners that travel abroad to any country, naturally they'll compare their situation, their environment to their places back home, right? Anything to do with paperwork, bureaucracy, customer service, type of food, even the weather. Myself, I complain quite often about the humidity and the heat of the Philippines, especially coming from the north. We don't have such long, harsh summers, for example. But I really have to remind myself, why is it that I came to the Philippines? Is it to complain, or is it to get away from the cost of living, the extreme overcorrecting of wokeness and all that stuff that's going on? And I quickly realized whatever the situation is, isn't as bad as why I left Canada in the first place. Now, nobody's perfect. Let's be honest. We all do this to some degree. I just think some people do it at a lot higher degree and more often than some other people. Now let's dive into the comment section. Let's take a look at what some other people had to say regarding this topic. It's so dumb because visa renewal is far slower in Western countries than in Philippines. Immigration is one thing they are actually efficient at. Of course, Australians aren't going to know how long it takes to get a visa in Australia, far longer than the Philippines, so they think it wouldn't be tolerated, which is laughable. An excellent point. The Philippines, I think, is one of the most efficient immigration visa renewal processes I've ever seen. I've traveled to over 20 countries, and I've had to renew my visa to at least half of those countries. And I can guarantee you, the Philippines, the offices I visit in Cebu, you can get your visa application completed and handed to you renewed within half an hour or even less if there's nobody ahead of you, right? So the idea to think that they're being inefficient is really not fair to that country. Put yourself in a position if somebody came to Canada, no way, bro, I tell you, there's no way in the heck would you be able to get a renewed visa. First of all, just to get to Canada is difficult for many foreign national passport holders. And then to renew your visa in Canada, it's going to take you a whole bunch of time. I know I have friends that come and visit, and it's not as simple as 30 minutes. So in some ways we have to remind ourselves that they are very efficient. Actually, the Cebu Lapu-Lapu Immigration Office is the only office where I've seen, even on Google reviews, has over 4.7 last I checked as customer reviews, because we all know how much we all hate paperwork. So I personally love that comment because I can relate to it, I understand it, and I have to agree. Immigration at the Philippines is very convenient, efficient, and where else can you get a tourist visa up to 3 years by continuously renewing it? Here's the next one. I'm not in agreement with go back to your home country then, crowd. Philippines is fucked up. Saying if you don't like it, then leave only exasperates the problem. I love this country and I want better for it. It would be wonderful if others shared the same sentiment. A major issue is the prevalent complacency with the current state of affairs. This deeply saddens me, particularly when confronted with the poverty and unimaginable hardship experienced by people here. I'm a little confused about that. Although I agree that I don't think it's ever fair to say go back to your home country, at least not for somebody just complaining. There's a lot more bad apples and foreigners that misbehave, and we cover this many times throughout my channels, but the point is, the people that say go back to your home country, I think they're trying to say, why are you here if you don't like it, right? And I think there's no better way of saying it. A lot of times those people, whether locals or foreigners, they love the Philippines and they can't stand to see somebody kind of tarnish the Philippines by simply being impatient or not understand things fully. So I agree to the fact that we should never say go back to your home country unless somebody does something really bad. But I can see where those people are coming from, the people that love the Philippines, the people that don't experience some of these things that people complain about. And the easiest way is to tell them to get out. If you don't like it, if you don't like the place, I've always been like an advocate of changing your environment, changing something you don't like instead of just complaining. I know I have several times. I know I've complained in the past, but I've really had to readjust and reconsider the way I behaved after the fact. Now, that's a whole different story. That's like a me problem, but I understand from both sides, and I don't agree with people saying go back to your home country. To be honest, it's kind of like a cheap response, almost like because it doesn't give you much credibility. It shows that you're just simply being angry or just talking with your emotions. The next comment says, obviously he is renewing his visa because he is like me. I don't have the money to retire to the south of France, but I have more than enough to retire in the Philippines. Nothing like being a pensioner. Another great point, we have to remember, why are we in the Philippines as an expat community? We're here to get the most out of our money. We're here to escape some of the nonsense that we don't agree with in our home country. We might be here for a relationship or for whatever reason it is, but it's probably not for efficiency. Let's be honest, the Philippines is still developing. They're sorting out all kinds of social and economical and political and like international affairs. So they got a lot on their plate. And as a foreigner, an expat coming in and pointing fingers and saying, hey, you're being inefficient in this manner or that manner, it kind of has to take a back seat. You know, they got bigger problems to worry about than you having to maybe do an extra step in your paperwork or sign an extra piece of paper, whatever the case might be. And the thing is, the Philippines offers a great value for what you get in return. Sure, it's not the best when it comes to certain things, let's say infrastructure or the speed of the internet, but you can't come here specifically for those two things. That's why you should not be here, perhaps, right? Maybe go to a different country, but then you have to pay more for those things, right? You're in the Philippines because of the people, because of the lifestyle, the weather, maybe the wonderful experience and all those things, but probably not for efficiency, right? So if we're that unhappy about it, maybe we should change it. Perhaps go to a different immigration office. Maybe try to do your visa renewal online and not in person, right? You could do so many things about it. And how many people really actually take action? Have we taken the time to maybe email the consulate or the immigration office, the Bureau of Immigration, whatever the situation, maybe offer a suggestion or something? I don't know, but I know I don't do it. I could just complain without having to do anything about it sometimes, right? So you have to kind of keep those things in mind. The next person says, I was with my cousin at the BI, his first extension. He kept going on and on about why this and why that. People were looking at him, drawing attention. I finally said, shut up and pay the lady. If you want to stay in this country, because you're not going to change their process. Another great point, right? Us foreigners and expats and retirees most likely aren't going to have much effect on the process of things, right? And also you have to remember that those agents, the immigration workers, the BI people, the staff, they have the power to deny your visa without having to give you a reason, really, right? It's up to their discretion. If they find you to be belligerent, or I don't know if that's the right word, belligerent, is that for drunk people? Anyways, if you're being irate and you're not being a good tourist or whatever, they can simply deny your visa. Then what are you gonna do? And they might put you on a blacklist. Then what? You can never come to the Philippines because you couldn't wait 10, 15 minutes or whatever the reason might be. So keep that in mind, because I know personally when I was in Malaysia, something happened and I kind of lost my cool with the immigration officer because I was traveling with Palm and she's a Thai, and they let us three Canadians go up without having questioning us at all, but they questioned her. So I said, hey, this is discrimination or whatever, but I had to be reminded, hey, listen, this is not a place that you want to start like talking back and forth to people. So I make these videos not just for you guys, but for myself as well, as a reminder to keep your cool, to remember, different country, you have to be able to like take it all in and go with the process. As this next person confirms by saying, probably the last people here that you want to get huffy with, but I've seen it too, not smart. Yeah, I understand it's one thing to sit here in this air-conditioned room and tell you what to do or what not to do. It's very different being in a position of some of these people, but like I said, it's a good reminder, and we have to always keep that at the forefront of our minds. And lastly, I want to point this out that it can be portrayed and seen as an act of aggression. This person writes, right there on the door, the immigration office that I go to says, if you hassle, yell at any of the officers, it's a criminal offense. He is so lucky he's going to get blacklisted. He's going to get kicked out of the country. He may even get thrown in jail. He's a nut. We all know these guys in our life. He's a nut. And when you go places, you don't stand close to him. I guess another way of saying do not get associated with people like him. I do that a lot. I mean, whenever I go somewhere, when I'm at cafes, when I meet with other expats, if there's a conversation that I don't like to hear or be part of or talk about, I just simply get up and leave. I say goodbye, have a good day, guys, or whatever. Or you could just say, let's change the topic. It's not one of those things where you want to get into, because getting into a negative mindset is like a downward spiral, especially when it comes to being in another country, because you're away from home. Maybe you're a little bit homesick, you miss your family, who knows, right? You maybe get a little too comfortable, because the Philippines is a great place, a lot of friendly people, and you might forget, hey, I could do whatever I want, but you get like told real quick that maybe you're not as tough shit as you think you are. And that's it for this video. Leave your comments down below. Let me know why you think some foreigners complain. Have you heard of anybody complain about the Philippines, or what you do about it if you're in that situation? And if you enjoyed this video, take a quick second, hit that subscribe button, and make Mario to 1,000 subscribers so I can monetize this channel. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.